Now we've recently introduced natural gas, which allows for dual fuel, which is a wonderful opportunity for everybody that's involved in the business. So I'm really happy to be back here. A lot of you have heard me speak before, and I usually explain that I don't prepare speeches. I tried that when I first started this, and I have to tell you, it's a lot less frightening when you sit and write a speech. You notice the politicians, even our president, who speaks very articulately, looks into these plastic screens where there's a speech running, and he doesn't know what the next sentence is until he reads it. And I think that's great when you're speaking to a super large group of people, but I don't like to do it that way because I find when I do write a speech, I'm writing it in isolation. I have no idea who I'm actually speaking to. And when I get up and trust whatever we call it, a higher power, that's what I call it, then it seems what normally comes out is what is appropriate, for that room, what people need to hear, and certainly what I want to tell those people. So the feeling that I have that I'd like to express today is a little bit about the history of the business. I'm not going to go into my personal history. Vanessa blew that up way beyond where I could possibly take it. All I could do is diminish it, so I'll leave it at what she put out there. But I want to talk a little bit about the history of North American Power, how it came to be, and more importantly, how this opportunity came to be and how I feel about it, both for what it's doing for me and for my family, but more importantly, what it's doing for you and what I believe it can do for you, and the quality and the commitment that we're bringing to it that we have for it. A little bit of the history of North American Power, and I'll weave in the beginnings of the opportunity into this history. Vanessa is correct. I did wind up after a 25-year career selling a company which I owned half of. $750 billion, actually she's right, I corrected, it's really $1 trillion. Dollars was a real number in the business, but it wasn't our revenue. It was the notional value of the product that our customers were trusting us to handle for them. So we were handling $1 trillion in transactions in a 12-month period, which made us one of the top half dozen brokers in the world in the energy space. So it wasn't insignificant. But Jesus, I wish it was the revenue number that would really that would put us somewhere up around Apple. So in any case, I did retire, and I didn't do a whole lot. I had a lot of fun, enjoyed retirement. I wasn't one of these people who drops dead the day after they leave their job. I had a lot of joy, and it was great. And at one point, I was introduced to a business called Shop to Earn. It was very random. How many of you ever heard of Shop to Earn? That's surprising, a lot of people. Shop to Earn was a network marketing company. I'd never done anything like that before. I got called by a friend of a friend who said, I don't remember what they said, but it was cryptic, and they sent me to a website, and I watched a short video. I thought the video was very compelling. It was all virtual. I watched the video, I signed up, and I was off and running. They had a Fast Start program, and the Fast Start allowed you to make quite a lot of money in the first month if you did well. I made about $12,000 in that first 30 days, and I was excited. And I went to meetings, I went to trainings right away, and I realized almost immediately that I was a kindred spirit of the people that were in this business. My background couldn't have been more different than most of the people, but I felt a kinship that I hadn't felt in my normal business. And I know why now, because the people that are attracted to this business typically have big hearts. They love sharing with other people. They're willing to work. They take chances. They care about their futures. They care about their families' futures. And most importantly, they're communicators. They love to share. And that was just very much who I was. And that was really at the heart of all the success I'd had in my life. I did not succeed because of having an indomitable intellect, because I don't. And I certainly didn't succeed because I worked harder than everybody else, because I love watching TV at night. So I was never a 24/7 guy. So I really, when I break it down, I was in a business that was about communication. I was in a brokerage business where you talk to a potential seller, and then you talk to a buyer. You get both sides to trust you. You communicate accurately. You operate in a way that is ethical and moral. You care about the results. And if you have all of those qualities, bingo, bango, you go to the top of the field, and that's what happened. But it's all the same skill set that it takes to succeed in the business that we're all sitting and talking about. So I thought that was really amazing, to go into a business I fully expected would be like night and day, and find that it was really exactly what I had done. So I was excited. So after that first 30 days, I started holding meetings, and I discovered something within the next 30 days that killed it. It was a $488 opportunity. That was the pay-to-play price. And it was easy for me to get that money back. They were very generous. I mean, the owners were not bad people at all. I'm still very close friends with the past president, Dan Schwiniarski. But what I found was I could not, no matter how hard I worked and how willing I was to help people, I could not get more than 1 to 2 out of 10 of them to get their money back. In fact, I was shocked. I couldn't believe that sometimes I couldn't even get the person on the phone the next day when they wrote that check. Now, why is that true? That's true because there's a law of nature that we probably all experienced if we're in any kind of business environment. It's called the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people are going to do 80% of the work, no matter what business you're in. I had brokerage desks that had 20 people on them. 4 people on that desk were subsidizing everybody else. That's the way it is. So I learned that lesson. I could no longer stand in front of the room and get anybody to write that check because I couldn't tell who was going to get their money back, and I knew that most people were going to lose it. So once I knew that, I might as well have strapped on a gun because I knew what I was doing. So I was done with that. But I loved the experience, but I was just done with that. While I was in the company, and this is because it was a network, somebody approached me knowing I'd been in the energy business and said to me, have you ever looked at retail electricity? Well, retail electricity was just coming in while I was going out, and I really hadn't looked at it. I was familiar with wholesale. We did wholesale electricity. We did wholesale natural gas, but retail really wasn't existent, and I didn't have a lot of interest. I sort of rebuffed him a couple of times. Then one time I kind of talked to my son about it, Gregory Breibart, who's our chief marketing officer. He was 25 at the time. He was just, recently out of an education where he minored in social entrepreneurship. So he really pushed me to take a look at it. I don't think I would have without Gregory. And I looked at it. Now, I've been in the energy business for 25 years. I've done a lot of things, not a lot of things, but I've done a couple of notable things before anyone else in my industry globally because I had developed somewhat of a vision from having seen the whole marketplace develop from birth to childhood to maturity. It allowed me to recognize things right from birth after a while. So I was the first person in the world to recognize the significance of energy derivatives. And I hired a team to develop that, both in London and the United States. And we didn't have competition for 2 years. It was that early. Now that market is a $350 trillion market annually. So I knew what an energy opportunity looked like. I was qualified to know that. I had a very good friend named Kerry, who's my equal partner in this business, who was equally qualified to recognize an energy opportunity. He was chairman of the board of the largest energy brokerage company in the world. Was the first broker of wholesale natural gas and the second broker of retail electricity, wholesale electricity. And I called him on the phone when I began to think to myself, well, I should look at this. And I said, I don't know if you have another campaign left in you, Kerry, but you got to look at this with me. Long story short, Michael O'Brien, the fellow from Shop Dern, set us up with a meeting with a fellow named Chris Sattler, who's now our chief operating officer. 20 minutes into that lunch meeting, my partner and I are giving each other sidelong glances because we know what we're seeing. We know that we're seeing the biggest opportunity that either one of us has seen with 50 years combined experience in our entire careers by a multitude of 10 or 20. It was ludicrous. So, you know, we went through the lunch. He was living in the city. I drove him to the train, and we're just listening. We're laughing and joking because we know we're going back into business. We're going into business together, and we're trying to figure out what are we going to call this company. And his idea was two guys in a Bentley. I don't really know. I don't really think that's going to sort of play in marketing approach. So, you know, we came up with North American Power a few weeks later, and we were off to the races. That's when the miracle began. And I really mean as close to a miracle in business as anything I've ever seen. And my take on that is when I look back and see the pieces that just fell into place, people that came into my life that, you know, were just gifts, that had incredible talent, that were attracted to the vision that I had and then my team had of where I thought this business could go. Now, in the very early days, within the first month, you know, I recognized that there was a lot of marketing going on in our industry through network marketing. There was a company called Ignite that was 7 years old that was knocking the leather off the ball. There was another company called Ambit that was doing very well. These were paid opportunities. They were almost $400 to get in. They charged $20 for a website. You had to renew and pay another $300 after the first year. I couldn't stomach it. There was no way that I was going to do that. But it was frustrating because I saw that this really worked. So, you know, finally I looked at what we were doing, and I saw so much profit in the product that we were selling potentially. It's less now, honestly, than it was, but at the time there was, you know, plenty of profit to pay a sales force. I just thought to myself, well, maybe I can do a compensation model that doesn't charge. And the rest is history. We went out to a consultant. He created a model that's had a second iteration after the first 12 months. And we don't charge anything, as you know. We don't charge for a website. We don't charge a renewal fee. And that really was the basis of something quite miraculous, in my opinion, because that simple idea opened up all our hearts, created a sense of purpose for the company, because we had the opportunity to address the #1 concern in the United States. And we're big into environmental products. You all know that. That's not the #1 concern. The #1 concern is jobs. Because most people, not most people, but an awful lot of people go to sleep at night worried and concerned about how they're going to pay the tuition payment, how they're going to pay the car payment. I'm seeing a lot of head shaking. And it's frightening. It's scary. And what is the answer? More hours at work? Your company's not doing well. They don't want you to work more hours. If anything happens, they want you to work less. Part-time job, more time away from your family. If you can get them, it's a very sad state of affairs when you have to put in that many hours away from your home. So we came up with, almost accidentally, because of the serendipitous events that took place in my life, Shop to Earn, all of that, with this opportunity that was a way of addressing this all over the United States, where we could have a situation where anybody that joined us could pick up the phone and call their friends and call their relatives and offer them a chance to pay that mortgage payment, to pay the tuition payment, and more than that, to buy the new house, to buy the car you've always dreamed of, because this isn't all about poverty. It's certainly far from it. We now have thousands of people making hundreds of dollars a month, but we have a whole bunch of people making $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, $50,000 a month, and that gets exciting because it's more than just, you may start worrying about that mortgage payment and then saying, oh wow, North American Power, I can relax, I can pay the mortgage, and then pretty soon you're buying the Mercedes, and not being able to pay the mortgage is a long time in the background. So this is the opportunity that we've been able to put together. It started, the magic started when it was simply free, because nobody was doing that. And then the company began to have a lot of success, both in the network and the other marketing channels. I'll give you a little bit thumbnail background about the history of our staff in the first year of the business. I started this business to make money, first of all. I started the business because I knew I had the background. Between my partner and I, we had the financing. Excuse me. Getting on the call. And my goals were the same goals that I had in my last life. It was, make money and for myself and for my family. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it was marvelous for me because in the first year, a lot of things happened that made this business not 100% about Kerry and what Kerry wants, but more about thousands of people depending on me and depending on my staff and my family, because both of my sons came into the business very quickly. Gregory Breibart, who I've already mentioned, is our Chief Marketing Officer. He's paid a lot of money right now, and every other company in the space would pay him more. He's a phenomenon. He's 28 years old. He's turned North American Power into the fastest growing company in the retail electricity space. And everybody just on the senior management team just looks back in awe at what Greg's been able to do. We went from 0 to 100,000 customers in under 12 months, in our first 12 months of business. We're going to end the year at the end of essentially our second year. We're going to end this year just pushing up against 250,000 customers. That makes us significantly more successful and larger than every company in the United States in this space that started when we started or a year before we started. Many of you, don't quote me on this, but many of you have heard of Meridian. Yeah, we flew by them like they were standing still. We've had a lot of success. And the company, of course, has been very profitable. It's generated a lot of revenue. Our first calendar year, we did about $125 million in revenue, which caused us to be recognized. A combination of the life-affirming model we created and the outrageous quick success caused Forbes magazine, as Vanessa alluded to, recognize us as one of the most promising companies in America. And we did win other awards and were nominated for other awards. And it keeps going on. We get a lot of recognition now for what we've accomplished and how we've accomplished. So, we've had good success, but that's the past. Where are we now, and where are we going? That's really, I think, important to all of us. I can tell you, as far as the opportunity is concerned, that I have a senior management team. We have about 60 employees now. We have 13 on our senior management team. If you are not drop dead in love with the home-based business opportunity that's part of our company, you have no place on our management team. And the only person we terminated was someone who couldn't get with that program. So the dedication to providing the best opportunity that has ever existed in this home-based industry is there. This is our MO. This is what we're about. I've said in front of a number of rooms, and I'm going to say it in front of you guys, we have a very successful business, with or without the network. We're very blessed. We send out a lot of mail, as you know. We have, developed other channels that don't conflict, that have allowed us to grow the business. We're very profitable. I feel, and my staff feels so strongly about what we're offering, what we're doing to make a difference. Between Mission to Millions and our push for environmental products and environmental education, to educate the public on renewable energy and how important it is, and the income opportunity we're providing with no risk, with no one getting hurt. If I never made a penny on this part of the business, but we kept growing and thousands of people were fulfilling their dreams, working with NAP, I would sign that deal right now. That's how we feel about this opportunity. We constantly look at ways we can make it better. We constantly look at ways that we can, take the bad things out of other opportunities and people like Tony, who's been in the industry a long time. Am I lying, Tony? It's the way it is, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things we've done in the compensation model, you really have to be an expert to even understand what a major change it is. And I'm not. I still don't totally understand our comp model. But I know John Castino and Brad Tales, are carrying the same mission, and that's why they're with us that we have. So we are, as much as we possibly can, handing all of you an opportunity that you can't find anyplace else on a silver platter. And not just an opportunity for you, but an opportunity for you to do something that will change your life, and that's help a lot of other people who need help. Because someone said a long time ago, if you want to feel self-esteem, do esteemable things. We have an opportunity here that's like a torch in the darkness. And we have the chance to create a lot of light in a lot of dark lives right now. And we have to work up the courage. We have to learn the technique to enroll other people. And you will be amazed when you do that. You may get some funny attitude at first, but if you do it with the right spirit, if you recognize that it's about trying to help the other person, trying to get them to just entertain this possibility. And if you will find that people will come on board, and many of you have had this experience, anyone that's been around for a while, Brendan's shaking his head, people who never thought they would do this in a million years, and they kind of listened, and they were half-hearted, all of a sudden it's changed their life. Changed their life, because not only do they have an opportunity to own their own business with no risk and no investment. Now, I don't want to say to you that North American Power is a business that started with no risk and no investment. We took crazy risk, and we invested millions of dollars. But you don't have to invest a penny, and you truly have the opportunity, not for a part-time job or full-time job, but to own a business within our business. That's what this concept is. It's about owning your own business. If you read our policies and procedures, which we have carefully crafted to be better than anybody else's, this cannot be taken away from you under any circumstances unless you rob, cheat, or steal. It can be sold to somebody else. It can be bequeathed to family members. This is something you own, and you own it within the umbrella of North American Power. And I think that's a marvelous thing. What do you guys think? So, where are we going? I mean, this year has been unbelievable. We've added almost 150,000 customers, which is 50% more than we did the year before. I think we're going to finish next year closer to 500,000 customers. We just launched in New Hampshire. For the first time, for the sake of brand recognition, we have 750 television commercials a week for the next 6 weeks, airing in New Hampshire. We've never done that before, but we're going to be a household name there before you can turn around. We have virtually no competition. There is no other home-based business working there. We're going to be launching in Maine this year. We're going to be launching in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island. We're going to be launching natural gas in, I don't even know how many utilities, but quite a few, 10 or 12, I think. We're going to be launching natural gas in Georgia. I think toward the very end of the year, we're going to be launching electricity in Texas. And I can tell you that there's a lot of thought also going into the network and how we can put other opportunities within the same network that we don't even have right now. So the creativity that the team we put together has and the dedication they have and the quality of the team is better than companies that are 4 or 5 times our size. Our president, as an example, Bill Kerry, is the chairman of the National Energy Marketers Association, which is the premier umbrella association for the entire industry. And our president is the chairman. So that's the kind of staff that we have. I won't go through every name. And we have a platform that you all can stand on that you just can't find anyplace else. We have unlimited financing from BP. And when I say unlimited, I really mean unlimited. If I called them tomorrow and said, hey, Eddie, I don't know where they came from, but we have 2 million customers, he'd be doing the dance of joy. They don't care. They bring in $20 million every 3 months. You know, they can handle our business. And so for the growth of the company, there's no limits on what we can do. And it's still very, very early days. I mean, we're sitting here in New Jersey. You may talk to a lot of people that have already heard of this, but I'm telling you, only about 30% of the retail electricity customers in the state have made a decision to choose a third-party supplier like North American Power. So it may not be 6 in the morning on day one, but it's no later than 10 o'clock. And this is just one state. And this is a state that has dual fuel. So the opportunity is unbelievable. And I think over the next couple of years, because it doesn't happen overnight, anybody that takes it seriously, that avails themselves of the training that's offered, will succeed and get what they want out of North American Power. And we'll do everything we can to make sure that from our side we deliver what we promised to deliver. You know, oh, there. We've done a good job so far, I think. We'll continue to do that. I want to say one other thing before I stop jabbering up here. The training that you're part of. When John Costino joined the company, we started doing these trainings, and I came to the first one to speak, and I had an idea in my head of what I was going to talk about. But as I sat back and listened to about an hour of the training, I got emotional.